Welcome to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Marie, a courage coach, creative soul, and adventure seeker. Since through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, I'm on a mission to help you embrace your most confident self so you can achieve your dreams too. If you're eager for deep conversations, big questions, and meaningful connections, join me on the quest to discovering how we can create a more magical and memorable life. Hello, nerds! How are you? I am so good. It's really cold outside, but the good news is I get to start wearing my favorite yellow coat again. That I treated myself to last winter. It's like basically a sleeping bag that you can walk in. And plus, I get compliments everywhere I go about my coat. And now, with my purple hair, I just get to wear my favorite colors all the time. It's amazing. I love to express my soul, but with my looks. I love to feel like my insides are on the outside. I don't know. It just helps me feel like myself. If you guys know the Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 4, so that's not going to surprise anyone. And I'm a Leo, a double Leo. So there you go. We love to express ourselves. Okay, so I hope you're feeling really good too. But I know that this season can be challenging for many people since there's many hours of darkness in the day. So this is why I want to make this episode to bring joy into your life, help make you feel better on a day-to-day basis. This episode is going to be about 5 ways, here I am with my numbers again, 5 ways to quiet the negative voices in your mind so you get some peace. But before we jump in, I want to tell you about an exciting offer that I just created, okay? This is called From Dreamer to Doer, the 3-month turning point. It's going to start in January, and I'm looking for 5 people who want to work with me one-on-one. So just you and me for an intensive period of 3 months. This is for you if you're a driven, passionate nerd who's tired of letting fear lead the way and make their decisions. Okay, we're going to go all in on you. You're going to set a big goal, and I'm going to help you reach it. So what is it that you might have been postponing for too long? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to share your art publicly? Do you want to give your business idea a real try? Do you want to go on a long hike? Do you want to stand up for yourself at work and maybe ask for a promotion or ask for a raise? I want to help you make it happen in the next 3 months. So you start the year feeling so proud of yourself, feeling unstoppable, and just more capable than ever before. Okay, this is very exclusive. I just want to work with 5 people, and it's not for everyone. I'm very direct coach, and I'm not going to let you hide behind your excuses, especially since it's one-on-one. You can't miss the call. You can't hide behind the other people in the group. So if you know you thrive when you have accountability, this is perfect. And I think you should work with me because I'm a badass at reaching goals. I've set goals before that I thought were completely impossible, and I got there. And I'm going to tell you why. But first, a few examples. As you know, I've thru-hiked the Pacific Crest Trail. I was never an athlete, okay? I've always seen myself as an artsy dork. But I was dreaming of the PCT, and I went for it, and I did the whole thing. I thru-hiked the whole thing. I also decided I was going to write a book in 5 months. I did that. Then I decided I'm going to earn $100K in my business. I did that. All of these seemed completely ridiculous when I first set the goal, but I managed to achieve it in record time. I change fast, and you can too. There's nothing special about me. The reason why I managed to set massive goals and reach them fast is that I take care of my mind. Your brain is kind of like a house. It gets dusty. And the only difference between me and the people who don't follow through on their goals is that I constantly clean it up. I do it on my own, but I also hire coaches to help me do this work. Because sometimes there's like dust that we cannot see that they are trained to help you see. And that's what I do with my clients. There's no amount of tactics, like different actions you can take to reach your goals. This is like the surface level stuff. In coaching, we go deep. We look at what's going on in your mind that's slowing you down. We look at your blind spots, the beliefs that you might have, the old stories you might be telling yourself that mean you don't show up in a way that's going to create the result that you want, in a way that's going to mean you actually reach your goal. When you start cleaning up the mess in your mind, you're going to be surprised at how quickly you can get to where you want to be. People have told me like that I make quantum leaps or that I learn really fast. Like in my coach training, I was just one of the first people to have clients. And people tell me like, oh, I'm just not like that. I'm just not like you. Like it's possible for you, but it's not possible for me. And that is bullshit. Because the reason why this is the case for me is because I take intentional conscious care of what's going on between my ears. I make that a priority. And I can help you do this too. I can do it with you and teach you how to do that for yourself so that you don't need to depend on me, that you can use the tools that I teach you to keep showing up this way for yourself, taking care of the dust for yourself. So if that sounds like something you could benefit from, go to selfgrowthnerds.com/dreamer. And if you're not sure what you want to work on with me, which goal you want to set, no worries. You can book a free call. We're going to sit together, figure out what's a goal that you would be really proud to reach, and then you'll be able to jump in. Okay, so just go to selfgrowthnerds.com/dreamer and you can just jump in right there. Or if you're not sure, just book a call and we're going to talk about what you want help on. We're going to get really specific, find the focus, find out like what would unlock everything, what would get you unstuck, what would improve everything else in your life. Like, I'm going to ask you questions to figure out what would have the most impact, and then we're going to jump in. Or you get to decide. I mean, when you book a call with me, it's no strings attached. You get to see if the fit is right and make a decision from there. So, selfgrowthnerds.com/dreamer. Now let's get into today's episode about 5 ways to quiet the negative voices in your mind. So basically, I'm teaching you tools right now to help you see the dust in the house that is your mind and start cleaning it up yourself. And then while we work together, I can help you do a deeper cleaning so that there's nothing getting in the way of you moving forward and achieving your dreams. Number 1, rebel against the inner bully or the inner critical parent. So none of us have had perfect childhoods, right? You might have been bullied in school. You might have had very challenging family situations. Whatever happened in your past has been internalized in your mind. You have developed coping mechanisms to navigate the life that you were born in that helped you when you were dependent on your caregivers for care, for love, but now are limiting you. I'm going to give you a few examples. So I remember when I wanted to hike the PCT, there was a voice in my mind whenever I did something physical and I was out of breath that told me, oh my God, Marie, you're so dumb for thinking that someone like you could do something so big. And to me, that was just, a fact. But it was just, in reality, the voice of the bully that I had internalized. Like, the bullies are not there anymore, but I've learned to bully myself. just because it's familiar. Maybe for you, it's the thought, oh, I haven't tried hard enough. I'm not working hard enough. And it might sound factual, but you have to slow down and realize, oh, that's something my parents always used to tell me. You're not working hard enough. You need to work harder to get those A's. Or perhaps your parents would tell you to be realistic when you had a bunch of different dreams and big ideas when you were a kid. Maybe you were shut down. Maybe you were told, that doesn't make sense. Be realistic. And you have internalized that. It's not because you have a thought in your mind that it's true. Most of your thoughts are just random memos based on the past. And we want to challenge them. We want to rebel against them and go, says who? Who says that I'm not working hard enough? Who says that someone like me cannot hike across the United States? Who says that that's dumb to dream big? Who says that I should be realistic? Being realistic is boring. Okay? You almost want to talk back to yourself. Instead of listening to your brain, talk back to your brain. Talk back to those internalized stories. You can also ask, like, is this really true? Does that really make sense? Because, I've worked pretty hard this week. So you telling me that I'm not working hard enough? I'm suspicious. You want to be suspicious of what your brain offers to you. Not just go along with whatever bullshit it spits out at you. If you let your brain do whatever it wants to do, it's kind of like a toddler with a knife. It's very dangerous. So you have to come in and manage what's going on. And do so consciously. Which brings me to point number 2. The second way to quiet the negative voices in your mind. And, the title is not completely accurate because we're not quieting the negative voices. We're just not letting them take over. Okay, they're always going to be there. It's just we're human and we have a bias for negativity. So they're always going to be there. We just don't want them to drive the car. We don't want the toddler with the knife to drive the car. Okay, that's just scenario for a nightmare. So the second way is to become the person that you as a child, you needed. So when I was doing theater in high school, the theater teacher said something really rude to me. My friend was absent. She couldn't make it to practice. And he said, who's going to take her role for today? It's a singing role. So I just raised my hand, volunteered, and he laughed at me in front of everyone and said, you can't sing for shit. And in that moment, I've internalized the idea that I shouldn't put myself out there if I'm not 100% sure, 110% sure that I've got everything for the role. I've internalized that. And I've had to work on thinking differently. I've had to work with my nervous system because my nervous system, when I want to put myself out there, it rings the alarm. It tells me, remember what happened back then? You don't want to do this. This is dangerous, right? Your brain's job is to protect you. And when I say your brain's complex, but there's the primitive part of your brain. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the toddler with the knife. Not your advanced prefrontal cortex. I'm talking about your old brain that our ancestors had that makes sure we don't get killed. Okay, that part of my brain, when I want to put myself out there, it goes ding, 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 bad idea. Remember what happened? This is dangerous. And so I've had to recondition myself, unlearn that. And so the second way is to become the person that I needed in that moment. I needed someone, a grown up, to stand up and go, what are you saying? That's rude. Just let her be. It doesn't matter whether she sings well or not. It's just practice. Who cares? I needed this grown up to give me a hug, to say like, people can't talk to you this way. You're awesome. You're really brave for putting your hand up. You're really brave for volunteering and wanting to do something new. That is so brave. Okay, I needed someone to do that, but no one did. Everyone was silent. Okay, it was just this one adult and a bunch of other kids. And that's often when shame is created. Those big shame stories that we carry are created when there was no one to stand up for us. So I don't think I would have had such traumatic feelings about that moment if someone had stood up for me, or if someone had been there for me. And every single one of you listening have stories like this from your past where no one stood up for you, and now you get to be the person you needed. I went to Arizona recently to a coaching convention, and there was this amazing woman gave a talk, and I went up to her at the end and I said, I needed you as a role model when I was 14 years old. You would have made me feel so good about myself when I was a teenager. And she turned and she said to me, you get to be this role model for yourself now, and you get to be this role model for other people as well. And that's the same for you in your own life. So think about those memories you have that are slowing you down still to this day. This is big, important work. And ask yourself, okay, if I could go back there, how would I show up? What's the story I want to tell about this moment if I could retell the story? If like me as an adult could just appear, what do I want to say and do for this younger version of me? If you were told all through childhood that you needed to perform, you needed to get the best grades, you needed to work really, really hard, you needed to go to swim practice, violin practice, and all of those things, and that now you just keep beating yourself up every day because you'll never feel like you're doing enough, okay, how do you want to show up for that kid? What do you want to tell them? Maybe you want to tell them, honey, you're doing so much. You can take a break. Just do something because it brings you joy. It doesn't matter that you didn't get the A. You're still amazing. Grades don't matter that much. It's okay. You'll do better next time. And if you don't, I love you anyway. Whatever grade you get, I love you anyway. You don't want to go to violin practice anymore? That's not a problem. That's okay. Or maybe we skip today and we'll go again tomorrow. What did you need to hear? Only you can know this. Okay, let's move to the third way to quiet the negative voices in your mind. The third way is just to realize that they're voices. They're just sentences. They are literally just words passing through your mind. There's a coach that I really love called Stacey Bayman. She says, your life is the result of the sentences you repeat the most. And of course, that's not 100% true, right? Where you are today has a lot to do with where you were born, the color of your skin, what family you grew up in, what resources you had access to. And there's a lot you can change by bringing awareness to the sentences in your mind and how they perpetuate a reality that you might not want, or aspects of your reality, and then enhancing those sentences to create a different kind of life. There are a few techniques to create distance between you and the sentences. Because we often just think the sentences are the truth, and that's what we want to work on. We want to look at the sentences. That's called metacognition. We're the only animal who has that skill. We are able to look at our thinking. Here are a few techniques. Just pick the one that works for you. You can see these sentences in your mind as just cars passing by. Like you're on the side of the road and there's a car passing by with a passenger in it that says, you're so dumb for wanting to hike the PCT. Woo, it's gone. Or you're not good enough to do something like this. Woo, it's gone. Okay? It's just like these mean voices passing by in a car. You can just go, oh, okay. I guess they're having a bad day. It's the same. It's exactly the same. Another technique that comes from Ross Harris, who wrote an amazing book called The Trap of Happiness, in which he gives you lots of techniques. One of them that I love is picturing all the chatter in your mind as a radio show. It's basically a radio channel that you cannot turn off. There are some shows you'll want to listen to, and there are some shows that are not interesting for you. You know, like those shows where it's complaining the whole time. You're like, okay, I cannot turn it off, but I'm going to turn the volume down and I'm going to do other stuff while this is playing because I don't want to pay attention to it. So you cannot turn off the radio, but you don't have to pay attention to every single thing that's going on. It's kind of like another one that I created for myself is picturing those thoughts as just balloons that fly around you. And sometimes when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you're PMS, there are more balloons with quote unquote negative sentences on them. But you get to practice just watching the balloons fly by without hanging on to them. It's like sometimes this thought goes by and we grab the balloon and we get carried away in the sky with the thought. For example, like there might be the sentence, you're not working hard enough, and then you have a choice. Let's take the example of the car passing by. You have a choice. You can stop the car and be like, talk with the passenger and be like, yes, I am working hard enough. Look, everything that I did this, I did this, I did that, and try to prove your point, which never really works because it's always going to come back. What we resist persists. What you want to do instead is just be like, okay, thanks for letting me know what you think. Bye. This is kind of like, we see adverts everywhere. Let's think of Times Square. You go to Times Square, there's adverts on all of the billboards. And this is like your mind. There's a bunch of things going on in your mind. And listening and having a conversation, engaging with all the thoughts in your mind would be like engaging with all the adverts in Times Square. Like, oh, it's selling me a razor. I'm going to go buy the razor. It's selling me Coca-Cola. I'm going to go buy Coca-Cola. It's selling me a trip to Hawaii. I'm going to drop everything to go and travel to Hawaii. And to that, I would say, great job. Just kidding. But it's like you're doing something. You're going somewhere. You're going to the Museum of Arts in New York, and then you pass through Times Square. I don't know if that makes sense geographically. This is just for the analogy. You're passing through Times Square, and you're like, oh my God, you forget about the fact that you were going to the Museum of Art because your whole day gets sidetracked by following what these adverts are asking from you. This is the same thing with your brain. You're like, today I'm going to do these 3 things on my to-do list. And then you just get sidetracked by all the sentences in your mind. If there's a sentence in your mind like, my partner is mad at me, for example, you might focus on that. Or my boss is an asshole. You might focus on that. Have a conversation with the thought, like, is he really an asshole? Like, or is he really mad at me? And he shouldn't think this way because, like, I said this and then he said that. And you get sidetracked from your to-do list because you're having a conversation with a random balloon. That's basically what it is. And the same is true. This is really important. Listen. The same is true with other people's thoughts, other people's opinions. If your partner says like, I don't think what you're doing is a good idea, it's one sentence in their brain. It is not true. It is a sentence in their brain, and you get to choose, okay, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, or am I going to engage in a conversation with their thought? Sometimes it might be a good idea to do so, but oftentimes we give so much importance to other people's thoughts. We give so much importance to other people's limiting beliefs. Because if your partner tells you this is not a good idea, does it mean anything. It doesn't mean anything about you and your idea. It means everything about them and their previous experiences. So unless they have a lot of experience in what you're wanting to do, a lot of valuable experience, then why listen to them? It's like, why take advice from someone that doesn't have the life that you want? You're just giving so much importance to words in someone else's brain. And as we discuss, the words in our brain come from our past experiences. So you really want to be careful who you pay attention to. The woman I mentioned earlier that gave a talk in Phoenix, her name is Judith Gatton, and she said something amazing. She said, a human said words and you gave up your dreams. Think about it. A human said words and you gave up your dreams. Kind of like when I wanted to write a book, a friend told me, everyone's writing books like this. That was just a sentence in his brain that was probably limiting his projects. And I heard these words. I wore these words on me for months. And that kept me from working on my dream until I realized, doesn't matter. That's just what he thinks. That's just his limiting beliefs. I'm not going to let a human saying words that I disagree with, right? I rebelled against his inner bully. I'm not going to let that mean I give up my dreams. Just sentences in your brain. Okay, that was number 3. Number 4, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. If the thought is true or not. I'm going to give you examples. So there are starving children everywhere in the world. That is true. But you don't think about that every minute of every single day. Why? Because how does it feel when you think there are starving children right now everywhere in the world? It feels pretty heavy to me. And what do you do when you feel heavy? I don't know about you, but when I feel heavy, I don't want to do anything. So while that thought might be true, does it really create the result that you want? That's what's most important. Not whether a thought is true or not, but how it makes you feel, how you show up in the world when you think this way. And you get to decide, is this who I want to be? Is this the actions that I want to take? Because if that creates a lot of anxiety and leads you to just scroll your phone for hours, do you want to do that? I guess not. Then you've got to stop focusing on that thought. This is like when I hear about eco-anxiety, people spend a lot of time thinking about climate change and how there's a lot of things that are not going well in the world right now. And although that is true, does it serve you to let your brain focus in on that every day? Maybe it does. If it does, please keep doing so. If thinking about this means that you show up and you take action that has an impact on you and on the world, then please keep thinking about that. But if it creates huge anxiety and that anxiety means that you shut down, then you want to decide, make a conscious effort not to focus on those thoughts. The circumstance can be the same. Climate change is still there. Nothing has changed. We don't make it disappear. We just decide, okay, how do I need to think about this? What do I need to believe about what's going on in order to show up how I want to show up? If I want to take action, powerful, meaningful action in a certain direction, how do I need to feel? And what do I need to believe in order to feel this way? Okay, that's the work. Another example that I've shared before on the podcast is this man that I met on a hike. I was on a 5-day hike, I think 2 years ago. And he was about a 60-year-old man, told me he had lost his wife to cancer a few months prior. And he said to me, she was an angel sent to me by God, and I got to be with that angel for 25 years. Aren't I lucky? And we could argue that that is not factual. that angels are not a thing, okay? You can believe in angels, but we could say, well, this doesn't make sense. Someone who's a pessimist or a realist, as they love to call themselves, someone who's a realist would just be like, well, your wife died of cancer. That is it. But thinking that, even though it might be factually true, might have led this person, this specific person, to just stay in their basement and not do anything all summer. Whereas the thought that their wife was an angel made them feel grateful. And when they felt grateful, they just were drawn to going outside and enjoying life. Right? You see the difference? Unless what you're telling yourself is harming people, and that's different, right? You're allowed to just tell yourself whatever you need to hear in order to do the actions that you want to do, that are going to create the kind of life that you want to lead. You basically get to choose the sentences that you put into your brain. And this is not about thinking positive. It's not about being like forcing toxic positivity. No, it's just about about being intentional about what you decide to focus on. One last example. Let's say you try something new. Maybe you start a business or you train for a marathon. You might think, I might fail. And it's true, you might fail. But when you think, I might fail, how do you feel? Well, I just feel super scared. And what do you do when you feel scared? Well, you don't show up fully. You don't go all in. You try to protect yourself. It makes sense. Your primitive brain, like we were talking about earlier, it doesn't want you to fail because failure equals death in its perception. So if you keep thinking, I might fail, you're not going all in. And guess what? What's the result of that? Well, you're more likely to fail. You're more likely to fail because you're not going all in, because you're scared, because you tell yourself that you might fail. 3 little words. 3 little words. Instead, you can think, and that's just one idea, you get to decide, I might succeed, which is equally as true. And it makes a world of difference. Okay? It's just as true. We might be fine. I might succeed. This might go well. How does that make you feel? This might go well. For me, it creates a sense of peace. I might succeed. It creates a sense of hope. And I'm much more likely to take risks and to try uncomfortable things, to put myself out there if I feel hope and peace than if I feel paralyzing fear. I want to make it clear here that I'm not telling you not to have negative feelings, quote unquote. It is normal to be sad about what's going on in the world. There is children starving everywhere, and there is a climate crisis, and there is inequality all over the world. And there is a time to be sad about all of these things and to really, sit in your sadness. And there is a time to get back into the world and to take action. I'm just thinking of the people who spend like all their time looking for a solution to slow down climate change. I'd be willing to bet that their number one thought is not everything's going wrong in the world, but more something like, there must be a way. There must be a way to solve this. And both are just as true. They just lead to completely different actions or inactions. And these same people might have days where, you know what? They need to be sad. They want to feel the heaviness. And that's okay. We do need that as well. We need moments where we're just lying in bed, feeling sorry for ourselves and for the world. That's needed too. There is a time for that, and there is a time to get up again. I'm thinking also of Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book A Man's Search for Meaning. He was in a concentration camp for about 3 years, I think. And he saw people around him just give up and let themselves die because they thought there was no way out. And we can't blame them. But one thing that served him in this situation is he always focused on there must be a way out. I can make it out of here. He never gave up hope. So go ahead and feel discouraged, feel disheartened, feel sad, feel heavy. That's part of the human experience. And also be aware that you have the power to shift what you pay attention to, what you focus on, and you get to choose to focus on what's going to make you feel good enough, strong enough, hopeful enough to get up again and keep moving. Last point. Last way to quiet the negative voices in your mind is to take care of them. These negative voices are just the fruit of your primitive brain who wants to protect you. They are well-meaning. They just want you to stay in the cave where you're comfortable, where you might be miserable, but you're comfortable, and where there's not any risk. Okay? So they just want you to be okay. So that's why you want to make friends with your automatic negative thinking. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be there. It just means you have a human brain that's functioning well. If you didn't have any of that, you would be dead by now because you would have just gone out and did whatever. We need the system to protect us. Now we need to control the system rather than have it control us. We need to gain consciousness to decide. But ultimately, we have to be grateful for this. It's automatic. And we have to, instead of seeing it as an enemy, seeing it as a resource. Make friends with it. And I'm going to give you another car analogy because they're so great. If you're on a road trip and you have a child on the back seat that's crying and screaming. Let's say you're going to the dentist. You're going to the dentist. They're crying, they're screaming, they don't want to go, they're afraid. You know that you're doing it ultimately for their well-being. They don't like it. It makes them feel like they're going to die to lie on this chair with a light in their eyes. And I understand them. I'm sure you can understand them too. So you have a choice. You can just white knuckle your way to the dentist, tell the child to shut up, just grow up, like grow some balls, we're going there, you don't have a choice. You can do that. They might stop talking, but they're going to have, what are they going to have internalized? The same thing's going to happen next time you go to the dentist. So you can white knuckle your way to the dentist. You're going to get there. No one's going to feel good. You're going to feel heavy. Your child's going to feel heavy. No one's going to be having a good time. Or option B, you can stop the car. You can go in the back seat, talk with your child, tell them it's going to be okay. Look, I know you don't like it. I understand. I used to hate the dentist as well when I was your age. It's completely normal. And the reason why I want us to go to the dentist is because X, Y, and Z. Okay? I understand how you feel though. And we're still going to go because it's important. It's the same thing with the voices in your mind. You can try to resist them. Tell yourself like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking this way. Stop thinking this way. Stop being so mean to me. But you're just white knuckling your way forward. You want to nurture this part of you. Be like, oh, what's going on, honey? You sound like you're scared. You sound like you're in a bad mood. What's going on? What are you so afraid of? Let me get curious. Make sure I understand you so that I can take care of you. Like, oh, that reminds you of that time when the theater teacher was an asshole. Yeah, I understand you're scared. I understand you're afraid that same thing's going to happen. But trust me, I got your back and we're going to be fine. And if there's an asshole in the room, I'm going to stand up for you and I'm going to give you a big hug and it's going to be okay. I'm never going to let that happen to you again. Okay? You want to take care of that part of you because it's not mean. It's not trying to purposefully get in your way and make you feel awful. It has something important to tell you. So ask that voice, what do you need? And I swear to you, when you fulfill their need, they're going to quiet down. They're going to calm down. And it's not going to be so intense, so buzzing in your head. And you're going to start feeling so much more lighthearted. And you're going to get some peace of mind. So these were the 5 ways to quiet the negative voices. First one, rebel against the inner bully or the inner critical parent. Realize where those voices come from and challenge them. And this one might seem contradictory to the last one I shared. But if we keep going with the kid in the backseat example, you might ask them oh, why are you so scared? And they might say, well, the dentist is going to remove all of my teeth. And you get to go, okay, where did you hear that from? Who said that? Well, Jimmy, it's cool. Jimmy said that. Oh, okay. Well, no, it's not actually the case. Jimmy was just talking out of his hat. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't know where he heard that, but it's not true. Okay, that's rebelling against the bully. So both can coexist. You want to question your thoughts, rebel against where they came from, where does that messaging come from? You rebel against the messaging and you take care of the person, the part of you that said those words. See? Take care of the need and question the words in themselves. Number 2, become the person that this child needed in the moment when those past events happened. Become that person now in the present. This is basically the same as the last point, just said in a different way. Number 3, realize that they're just sentences in your brain, just words passing by, and you don't want to let words lead you to giving up on your dreams. Number 4, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It matters what results it creates in your life to think those sentences. And lastly, just take care of them. Take care of these negative voices. They mean well. And remember, if you want to work with me one-on-one so that we clean up your brain and make sure that there's nothing in the way of reaching your dreams, then go to selfgrowthnerdz.com/dreamer and let's spend January, February, and March working together intensively every week so that by the end of those 3 months, you feel super proud of yourself and you're excited about what's next. Okay, I want you to fall in love with your life again, to fall in love with yourself again, because isn't that what's most important? If you love yourself, if you love your life, it's going to radiate all around you. And that's what I wish to see more of in the world. Just little suns with contagious rays of sunlight. All right, I wish you a beautiful, beautiful week, everyone. Sending you lots of love, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye! You just listened to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. Make sure to subscribe and to find me on Instagram at Self-Growth Nerds. If you want individual help developing the confidence to create a more meaningful and exciting life, visit selfgrowthnerdz.com today to learn how. Finally, I want to thank my friend Etienne Galano for editing this, and I want to thank you, kind-hearted souls, for growing into your truest, most courageous selves every day and making this world a better, more beautiful place. My name is Marie, and I will talk to you next week.